Can I share with you the one line that I've summarized all my journey?
Please.
After 5 years. And people ask me what this is all about. And I said, I found out about this. There's Rumi, a poet, lived, is Persian, is a Sufi, lived in Turkey, it's Rumi.
Okay.
We call him Mevlana. And he has this line, it says, when you start walking the way appears. And that's what this is.
Yeah.
You summarized it.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly the same thing. There is some magic on moving.
Yeah.
And you make your way by moving.
Yeah.
And you look back and say, wow, that was a road. That was a journey. That was the path. I came to this old factory. You know, I'm going to jump how we get to there. Through an old mail. And I was making feta cheese in my small place in upstate New York. And this old mail came, junk mail came. It says, fully equipped yogurt plant for sale.
In the mail.
In the mail.
Yeah.
Junk mail comes all the time. Some tries to sell cars, some tries to get you a credit card, some tries to do this, some tries to do that. And this is a real estate agent sending all just junk mails to the people around. So if anybody will buy to this factory that is being closing. And look at this. We still have that paper. It's like one card, half of your paper. And it has one picture on the front. It says 1920, a picture of the front of the factory.
You still have that paper?
I still have that paper.
Oh, wow.
On the back, there's small pictures of various rooms of the factory. And it says, fully equipped yogurt plant for sale. It's like, what the hell? So I'm making cheese. I always knew that yogurt in the U.S. was really bad.
Yeah.
Somebody should do something. I never thought it would be me. So I see this, and at that time I'm smoking, I'm drinking a lot of tea, and I'm going through the junk mail. I used to go them once every month, like just go through them, piles up, junk. I throw that to the garbage. 20 minutes later, Roberto, I go back. I grab that paper. Now it has all my tea remainings and cigarette remainings dirty because I throw it there. I look at it. I call the number. It's 6 o'clock. And the person answered is a real estate agent and says, it's a factory, craft food, owned it. They're selling it. So how much is it? He says, 700,000. So I look at the pictures. I look at the room. This is like 7,000 square feet. And I have a small cheese factory. I said, there's no way this is 700,000. This must be 7 million. But I didn't ask again, just not to sound like I was sure.
Yeah, you were too interested, yeah.
So can I come see it? He says, yeah, come. So next day, I go there with one of the person that works in the cheese factory. I go in their place. It found me 3 hours to find this place. It took me 3 hours. I go in there. Middle of nowhere. It's a farmland. In front, there is a bar. All these bikers are drinking and beers and all that stuff. Across the street, this old factory. You walk inside, there's this woman, Maria, greet me and shows me around. Rich is the production manager, shows me around. And I go through this labyrinth type of room. It's like built in these thick walls during the Cold War, you know. It smells like rotten milk. Paints are, fallen off, old factory, old place. Fan is running, making some noise. You see stuff in the movies. And you go into this room, there is about 40, 50 people. They're packing some stuff, closing it. And the guy, the manager who run the place says, yeah, we're closing it. Kraft owned it. They made Breyer's yogurt here for years. They sold the business. This is junk. They're selling as junk. To make the story short, I left that factory. So I got to get this place. I got to find a way to get this place. And I called the lawyer who used to work with me in my cheese place. His name is Mario. I said, Mario, I found this old factory. It's $700,000. It's cheap. It's got everything I need. I can make amazing yogurt here. Can you help me to get this? And he says, wait. You're telling me the biggest food company in the world Kraft Foods at that time. I don't know if it's biggest, but closing the factory, getting out of yogurt business. And you think you can do something with this? I was like, I guess you're right.
But was the cheese store doing well before that?
It's tiny, small.
Yeah.
Doing okay.
How did you go to the cheese store? Like you
You don't have enough time. I mean,
we could summarize like because I stayed. You spend your $2,000 and now you have like a cheese store.
Yeah.
Can you say something to fill that gap? Like even though briefly.
There was this guy. There used to be a Seinfeld episodes in the U.S. in early days, and there was
I'm a big Seinfeld fan.
I am too. I just grew up watching.
You have like a Seinfeld vibe, actually. Yeah. New York,
says, yada 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 yada, and then
yada. Yeah.
So I just so yada yada happened. I end up, when my $2,000 gone, I had to find a cheaper school.
Oh, you changed schools.
I had to change. 1 month after, I had to find. I don't have another $2,000, so I found another school called Baruch College.
Okay.
Which you're not gonna believe this. When I was asked to do the commence speech last year, both Adolphi and Baruch asked me at the same time.
Oh, to do that commencement speech.
And
you did.
I did both
of them. Oh, yeah. So it was even more iconic. Yeah.
And none of them knew. It was crazy shit. So I went to Baruch, and when I was in Baruch, the teacher asked to write something in English, how to make. Wow. It's like you're learning writing in elementary school, And I said, I know how to make cheese, so I'll try to write how to make cheese in English. With some Turkish people's help, I wrote how to make cheese. The next day, the teacher comes. She has my paper in her hand, and she's telling me something very passionately. And I don't know if she's asking me something or she's really upset with me. Or I wrote something really stupid in that paper that made her
mad.
Mad. So I brought another Turkish guy. I said, can you translate what she's telling me? Turns out she has a farm in upstate New York. She loved my paper, and she have goats and cows, and she's invited me to go to her farm so we can make cheese together.
Oh, wow.
I said, New York has farms? I had no idea. And then some weeks later, on a weekend, I went to this place, 4 or 5 hours away from New York City. It's the most magical place I've ever seen. It reminded me home, like where I grew up. I said, okay, now I can stay in the U.S. Because New York City I was done. I said, I cannot survive here. This is not going to happen.
Yeah, it's a big contrast.
I can't do this. But when I went up there, it's the river, the mountain, the trees. Cows are cows, same,
Yeah. Same personality
same
everywhere.
Yeah. And I'm like, my God, I wish I could work in this place. Turned out, I worked in that farm for 1.5 years.
Okay. And you continue studying?
And I continued to go to school in upstate. And while I was upstate, my father came visit. He said, they don't have good cheese here. Maybe you can start making some cheese.
Okay.
And then I went to the local economic development place. And I said, can I see how I can start?
And you got to the store. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So
I worked in a farm for 1.5 years, 2 years maybe. Yeah, almost 2 years. Milking cows, doing everything you do in the farm. There was a period I was in New York City, I did all kinds of things that you could think, wash dishes, sell fruits in streets and all that kind of stuff. But upstate was my element. I felt like I was home. I always felt home up there. And I started making cheese. And that's where I found about this ad.
Yeah. And then you went to the factory, you visited, and then?
Yeah. And then the lawyer says, hey, you have no money, man. You haven't paid me in the last 6 months. You owe me $20,000. I said, Mario, those are, we'll take care of that.
20 less, 21.
So there was these 2 bankers showed up one time in my small cheese place and said, Hamdi, there is this program called SBA loan. And you make a business plan in a rural community. If the government or the SBA, Small Business Administration, gives us a loan guarantee, the bank will give you a loan. Literally, the government guarantees it.
Okay.
So they have no risk. So he said, you need to write a business plan. So how do you write a business plan? So I got the library searching how you write a business plan. I wrote this thing. And these two guys, Pat Mushi and John Ryder, I will never forget, these two small business bankers found a way to get me a loan.
You got the loan for the factory?
For the factory. And August 15, 2005, I have key for this factory.
So they loaned you the $700,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. With the SBA guarantee.
Yeah.
And I asked the manager there, I said, if I ever wanted to bring this factory back to life one day, who should I hire out of these 55 people? He said, you need to hire Maria. Maria is the first person who greeted me when I walked to that place. She worked there for 15 years.
Okay.
And she knew everybody. Where you get the gasoline, where you get the trucks, where you get the workers. And she was she sit in the front office. She's this Christian, most beautiful woman you could ever think. And then Rich, he's the production manager. He's the guy who showed me the around. Then Mike, who is the main...
They were all former employers.
Yeah, they were there until they was closed.
Yeah.
Mike, he was the maintenance guy. He basically worked there for 40 years, 35 years.
Wow.
He knew everything. Because this factory was so old, you didn't have a blueprint of anything. You didn't know where the electricity lines were. So he had to be in his mind.
Yeah, wow.
He knew where things were.
There was no documentation of anything.
There was no document.
Everything was legacy. Yeah.
So I said, oh, I know where that is. Oh, yeah, I know where that is.
I think I remember. Yeah.
I think I know we did that. No, we did that. Oh, yeah. And then Frank.
So if you got rid of him, it was a black box, basically.
You had no idea how to turn it on. Yeah. And then Frank was running the wastewater treatment plant. There's a wastewater treatment. Like any waste that comes out of the plant, liquid, you need to treat it because there is no city wastewater. Without that, you cannot run the factory. So he's the one who knew what kind of chemical to use and what kind of aeration to use to make the waste clean that can be dumped into the river. So those are the four. I hired them first day.
You hired, that was your first...
We have a picture, actually.
Yeah, of that.
And 60 Minutes did an episode on us, and that picture was in that. So him, Frank, Mike, Rich, Rick, Maria, and me. I have the key, and then we have, you walk in, you go upstairs, there's office. Chairs are all over the place. So we sit around the table. Mike says, okay, so what are we going to do now? I said, Mike, we're going to go to Ace hardware store. It's like a hardware store. And I didn't even think I said Ace. We're going to go to hardware store. We're going to get some paints.
That's like the classic hardware store in the US, Ace? Yeah, right?
In that area now, it's all Ace, yeah.
Ace, yeah. I've seen Ace before,
Yeah. So it's everywhere. Every small town has them.
Ace, yeah.
So we're going to get some paints, we're going to get some brushes, and we're going to paint the walls outside. So the Mike says, Hamdi, I've been here for a long, long time. I don't remember when was the last time we painted those walls. But you can tell they were white at one point. Yeah. They're no longer white.
Okay, they were no longer white.
And he says, I understand, your point to paint, but I don't think that's the first thing that I would worry.
Yeah.
Do you have any other plans? So the thing is, you have to understand, Roberto, is this is a factory. Grandfathers worked, fathers worked, uncle worked. Everybody worked in that factory. That was the source of life for that town and surroundings.
Okay.
Everybody drove through, saw this factory working. That was sign of life. And everybody knew there was going to be a time this thing was going to come off. This thing was going to be shut down. And there was always rumors that was going to happen. And it happened in a lot of towns and villages. And it happened in my town when I grew up too. And then one day, the big company says, I'm done. We're closing this place. When that closes, everybody who lives in that area that depend on that factory makes life decisions, right? They say, well, we're going to move away. We're going to get more different job. Are we going to get job? All that stuff, the life stories, like stories that you had in your book, those stories come to life with that decision. And everybody of that, we used to work that 55 people worked there, or the farmers or other people, they made their decision to do something, except those 4 people. Because those 4 people, I hired them.
Yeah.
And they haven't made a decision, but they're looking at me as like, really? You know, the big company is gone. This guy from Turkey doesn't seem like he has a lot of money. He has a very broken English. We haven't seen his yogurt. He doesn't have a lot of reputation. No one can find him, what he has done before. And I'm supposed to depend on what he says to make my life decisions. And that's why Mike is asking, what's the plan?
Yeah.
So he can make a decision what he wants to do. I said, Mike, of course I have plans. Which I had no plans. Of course I had plans. But first, let's paint these walls. That's what we did that summer. We painted those walls. The summer of 2005. June, July, August. 4 of us. The people who were drinking in the bar across the street, they were making so much jokes about us. Hey, you forgot that place, you forgot that one. Imagine.
How big were the walls? They were
big. Yeah. It's a 80,000 square feet building.
So how long did it take to paint all the walls?
3 months.
Oh, 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of us, we are on the stairs. So basically, I have this key for this factory. I have no other resources to start this place. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I know I can make some yogurt, but who's going to buy it? I've never done this before. We have 4 people. We are far away from anybody. Nobody even knows we exist.
Yeah.
We are lost in these mountains in the valley in South Edmiston. And I am going through this pain. And I said, what the hell am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? Right? The only thing that comes to my mind is I can paint these walls. That's the only thing.
The first step. Yeah.
That's the only thing come to my mind is I can paint these walls. That I know I can do.
Yeah.
Everything else, I have no freaking idea. So, well, let's start painting the walls. And today, if you walk any Chobani office today, it says, let's start painting the walls.
Wow.
Yeah. So I did a TED Talk on this. We painted those walls that summer. 2 years from that day, maybe a year and a half, October of 2007, I launched brand Chobani from that place. And then there's yada yada from that to that.
Yeah.
We can do that another time. But that 2 years later, we launched that yogurt from that place. From 2007, October 2007, the end of 2012, that company became $1 billion in sales.
That's a big yada yada.
That's a big
yeah.
$1 billion. I did not raise 1 penny to grow that business, not a 1 penny. Those 4 people became over 1,000 people. That factory became one of the biggest factories in the region. That road gets so busy, we had to buy that bar across the street. That was the most expensive bar have ever been bought in upstate New York.
Because of the amount of people working in there?
No, I had to expand the factory.
Oh, you had to expand the factory, yeah.
And it was like 2 seconds of bar was disrupted. But what I'm trying to say is this. And I go back to this moment of when I told them, let's start painting the walls. I didn't have that wisdom of, well, I don't know anything, but there's a wisdom of unknown. If I start painting the walls, then the idea is going to come, and then that. No. The only thing I knew at the time, now I can write, like you said, I can look back and write books about it. But at that time, the only thing I was worried that those walls were dirty and I could do something about it. And there's this magic on the action. There's magic on the walk. There's magic on doing things on the go. There's magic of avoiding sitting down and worrying and
gaining
doing
momentum, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you get that, then you come up with the ideas. Then you come up with the drive. Then you say, you know what? I'm seeing something is happening. The 4 people become 5 people, and the 1 cup becomes 1,000 cup. And by the time we came to 2012, people said, you guys have built something that never been done before in any industries. We were one of the fastest growing, not only consumer good product, any products that have been built from 0 to 2 billion in 5 years.
Yeah, it was a crazy run.
Great stuff.